Hello and welcome to our video today, which is in our series of microfinance and evaluation skills. And this one asks the question, what is microfinance? So we're going to start with some definitions. Firstly, finance. As a verb, in the sentence, the group needed to finance their building project. Finance means to find money for, or to find a source of money to let the project go ahead. In the sentence, Hope Project financed the building, the meaning is slightly different. It means they provided the money for the project. Finance can also be a noun. In the sentence, Hope Project provided the finance for the building, it means the money to let it go ahead, rather than the act of finding the money. Finance can also be an adjective. Many big companies have a finance department, and the word finance is being used as an adjective to describe the type of department. They might also have a production department or a transport department. In the term microfinance, finance is being used as a noun. The word micro is an adjective or a prefix and simply means very small. So other uses of the word micro are microlight, you can see in the picture, means a very small airplane, or microscope, also in the picture below, to mean a piece of equipment to look at very small things. So the term microfinance means finance in very small amounts. Let's look at the word finance a bit more. So far we have said that finance means finding money to let something go ahead. But that money can be provided in different ways. Firstly, donated money or a government subsidy where the government pays you the money. So this is money provided with no need to repay it or to pay for the use of the money. The donor or the government gets no money back in exchange for providing the finance, but they may have a say in how it's used. Secondly, investment money. Someone or some company provides the money, but they expect to have money paid to them in future out of the profits of the project. The payment of a share of the profits is known as a dividend, D-I-V-I-D-E-N-D. They usually also expect to have a say in how the project is run, in proportion to the amount of money they provide. So, for example, if they provide 60% of the money needed, they would expect to have 60% of the votes about how it's used. And the third way is loans. Loans are money that is borrowed and has to be repaid in the future, usually over a period of time on dates that are agreed at the beginning. So the project might borrow money at the beginning with 20% of the amount borrowed being repaid every year for 5 years. If they borrowed 100,000 baht, they would have to repay 20,000 baht each year. So at the end of the 5 years, the lender, the person who provides the loan, has received the full 100,000 baht back. The amount of the debt owed at any time is called the principal. So for year 1, the principal would be 100,000, and in year 2 it would be 80,000, and in year 3, 60,000, etc. In addition, the borrower, the person using the money, will probably have to pay interest to the lender for using their money. This is rent for the use of the money, like paying rent to a bike shop to hire a motorbike for a day. You pay them money, and in exchange you get to use the motorbike. With money, it's just the same. You get to use their money for an agreed time period, but you have to pay them for using it. Interest is calculated as a percentage of the amount borrowed. For example, if the interest was 5% for the loan described above, the project would have to pay 5,000 baht for using 100,000 baht for the first year, which is 100,000 baht times 5% equals 5,000. At the end of the first year, they also have to repay 20,000 baht out of the 100,000 baht they borrowed at the beginning. So they have to find 25,000 baht to pay the lender, 5,000 interest and 20,000 principal. How often interest has to be paid or repayments of principal have to be made varies from one loan to the next. The most frequent periods are monthly, every 3 months, or yearly. So with donation, the donor, the one who's giving the money, decides to support a project. They give money, there's no need to repay the money, and if the donor wants to support a different project later, they have to find more money. The microfinance loan, the lender lends the money, the borrower uses the money and then repays it later, and the lender can use the same money to support a different project later. They don't have to find more money. So which type of finance is microfinance? It's loan finance, not a donation or a subsidy, and not an investment. The loan will be for an agreed period and interest will be charged. So let's have a description of microfinance. Microfinance is providing small loans starting at around 600 baht to borrowers who could not borrow the money from anyone else. The money is used for something that will bring in extra income for the borrower, and they use part of this extra income to repay the loan. The microfinancier, the one giving the money, can then use the same money again to give a similar loan to someone else. Sometimes the loans are provided free, that is, no interest, and without any legal documents, just a handshake and no security. So other vocabulary. Funding means the same as financing. Handshake is a way to show you agreed to an unwritten agreement. And assessment is looking at the important facts about a proposal to decide whether to support it or not. Security means something owned by the borrower that the lender can sell if the lender isn't repaid. So if the borrower doesn't repay the loan, the lender can sell that and get their money back that way. A loan agreement is a written document setting out all the terms of the loan. It's the deal between the lender and the borrower. Okay, there's a little bit of a problem. The idea of microfinance has only been around for a short time. And because of that, different users do not always mean exactly the same thing when they say it. Many lenders call what they are doing microfinance, but that does not mean that what they are doing and how they're doing it is the same as each other. So summary, microfinance means making very small loans which are repaid over a period of time and which may or may not pay interest until they are fully repaid. Okay, your turn. What is the meaning of the noun finance? And I'm going to go ahead with the answer now. And the answer is finance means the money to let it go ahead. What is the meaning of loan principal? And here comes the answer. It's the amount that you're borrowing at any time. It goes down when you make a repayment. What is the meaning of interest? And the answer for that one, the amount you pay back more than you borrowed. For example, you borrow 1,000 baht, but you must pay back 1,050 baht. So that's 50 baht is interest. What is the difference between a donation and an investment? And the answer, donors don't get any money back. Investors get a share of the profits. Okay, the quiz is finished. This question is just the next one we're going to ask as part of the teaching. So, why do small communities like villages have projects? And the reason is, firstly, to make more money. So this includes funding other projects indirectly. For example, where the profits from a business are used to pay a teacher's salary. Secondly, for more security or spreading risks by spreading the sources of income. We'll talk about this more. Thirdly, using unemployed or underemployed people or resources and avoiding young people leaving the village to find work. And fourthly, sometimes establishing a community-based project before someone else establishes a similar project for profit. So how are microloans different from bank loans? So first thing is the motive of the lender. Banks lend money because they make profit from the interest payments. Micro lenders are doing it to help the borrowers. Second thing is the size of the loan. Bank loans are any size except very small. Microloans are always very small. Third thing, the legal side of things. Bank loans always have loan agreements signed by the bank and by the borrower. And secondly, security is usually taken. With microloans, there's usually no loan agreements in writing and security is not taken. Next one, analysis. With bank loans, the lenders analyze the loan in depth before lending the money. With microloan, there's only a low level or no analysis. The next one, who is the borrower? With bank loans, it's mostly businesses or personal lending to people who already have some wealth. With microloans, it's mostly to very poor people, mostly small rural communities, and some lenders only offer loans to women. Next one, the purpose of the loan. With bank loans, it can be any legal purpose, including things that don't make any money, like, for example, a holiday. With microloans, it will be for projects that will generate income and improve the wealth of the borrowers and usually their community. Other things, with bank loans, the borrower has to report regularly about how the project is going. With microloans, there might be a number of conditions. Firstly, they might insist that the borrower starts saving money. Secondly, they might insist that they send their children to school. Thirdly, one borrower in the group might have to guarantee the loans of the other borrowers in their village. And fourthly, they have maybe weekly meetings where they each tell each other how their project is going. This will just be the borrowers in the village meeting together, not necessarily anybody from the microfinance organization there. So in microfinance, when the money is repaid, it can be used again to help the next family. If it isn't repaid, this can't happen. So because of this, assessment of the proposal is critical in spite of the absence of a formal loan agreement or security. Often the assessment is by other borrowers who have to guarantee the risk, not by the employees of the lender, the microfinance company. Okay, quick quiz. Question 1. List 3 things that are different between bank loans and microloans. You might want to pause the video because I'm going to go fairly quickly ahead with the answers now. Question 2. Which kind of loan is easier to get? And the answer for that one, microloans are easier for most people in the village. Bank loans are hard because there are no banks in the village, and banks need security and legal agreements. They only lend to people who already have some money. Question 3. If it's easier to get one kind of loan than the other, why doesn't everyone try for the easier one? And the answer for that one, because microloans are only for people who are very poor. Question 4. How can projects change where a village gets its income from? Okay, answer for that one, most villages get their income from agriculture. Microfinance allows small businesses to start, things like making tables and chairs from bamboo, or making chilies into chili paste, or pineapples into pineapple juice, and selling what you make. Okay, end of the quiz. So how should it work? The lender has 3,000 baht to lend, and it agrees 5 loans of 600 baht each. So in the table, we have the first time loans, which are called loan 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, and 1E, each one for 600 baht. And then, after some time, the loans are repaid. So they get back 5 times 600, which is their 3,000 baht. The second time, so the second loans are 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D, 2E. The same again, 600. And the 600 is repaid later. And then the third time, 3A, 3B, 3C, 3D, 3E. And if this is the experience, the system can go on forever, with the money being used time after time. Now compare this version with the one before. So the first time we have loan 1A, B, C, D, E, but one of them, loan 1E, is not repaid. So instead of getting 3,000 back, the lender only gets 2,400. So next time they can only make 4 loans, loan A, B, C, and D. And this time again, one of them is not repaid. So instead of getting back 2,400, they only get back 1,800. So now we've had 2 different borrowers who didn't repay. So instead of making 5 loans like they did the first time, they can now only make 3 loans. So loan 3A, 3B, 3C for 600 each. And you can see that if this pattern continues, after 5 loans, if each time one of the borrowers doesn't repay the money will be all gone. So it's clear that making a good assessment of the risk of not getting repaid is very important, because if you get it wrong, future borrowers will miss out. So conclusion, the effect of non-repayment is that the money becomes in effect a donation to the borrower. This is not a disaster, and many charities are happy to give donations for similar purposes. The most important effect is that if the money is not repaid, it cannot be used again to lend to the next person. And a final quick quiz. If a microloan is not repaid, what happens to the total amount of money that can be loaned to other families in the future? And the answer is there's less money to lend to the next group of borrowers. Next question. A handshake is a written agreement about a loan. True or false? And that one is false. Next question. Donations have to be repaid. True or false? And the answer, false again. Microloans have to be repaid. True or false? And this one is true. And last question. Interest is money a borrower pays for using someone else's money. True or false? And that one is true. And this is the end, my friend. See you next time.